Good evening. The Middletown Township Public Library is a civic institution that provides materials, ideas, information, technology, and cultural opportunities to enrich, empower, and educate. The December 18, 2013 meeting of the Middletown Public Library Board of Trustees is called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting was published in the Asbury Park Press on January 29, 2013, The Independent on January 30th, 2015, and was posted in the library on the library website and at Town Hall on Friday, December 13, 2013, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of the 2014 Library Board calendar was published in the Asbury Park Press on December 2nd, 2013, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Roll call. Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Shivitz?
Here.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Cordiano?
Here.
Mr. Vitkansas? Ms. Breen? Here. Ms. Wilson? Mr. Fury?
Here.
Also present is Mr. McComba?
Here.
And myself, Ms. Latona. Flag to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Open Public Meetings Act allows for the exclusion of the public from the portion of the public meeting when certain matters which might endanger the public interest or risk deprivation of individual rights are discussed. And the Board of Trustees of the Middletown Township Public Library wishes to discuss the following matters in non-public closed meeting. The resulting discussion being made public when a proper conclusion has been reached and there is no longer need for confidentiality. Any matter falling within attorney-client privilege to the extent of confidentiality is required in order for the attorney to exercise his or her ethical duties as an attorney, and any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, the conditions of employment, evaluation, and disciplinary of any specific employee unless individual requesting writing the matter has been discussed in the public meeting in regards to interviewing of the candidate director. Now therefore be resolved, the board will hold a closed executive session in this conference room located in the Middletown Township Public Library, New Jersey. It is anticipated the closed session will not last longer than 30 minutes, and the board will take action when we return.
So,
Second, all in favor?
aye.
Back to the regular session. Roll call. Mr. Siebert?
Here.
Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Shivitz?
Here.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Cordiano?
Here.
Mr. Vitkansas? Ms. Breen? Here. Ms. Wilson? Here. And Mr. Fiore?
Present.
Also present, Mr. McCullough?
Here.
And Ms. Latona. Statement to the public. The board encourages public participation. Individuals wishing to address the board shall be recognized by the presiding officer and shall give their names, addresses, and group of any that they represent. Each speaker is asked to speak no more than 5 minutes and limit their remarks to the items on the meeting agenda. The board may not respond to questions during the public portion.
Would anyone like to speak?
Melanie Elmer. Melanie, can I press the gray button? Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if they can get this. Melanie Elmer, Green Trees Terrace, and Wayne Rock. I just have 2 questions. One is, back in October, Mr. Nelson was the only no vote on the financial report that had information about the chargebacks because he was expecting.
Is there supposed to be anything on the agenda, the public portion?
Well, you have a financial, you have a section on the agenda about the
But
finances.
not October's financial report.
So when can I ask that, at the
In the
end?
next public session, which is
At the
after
end,
new business.
okay. Then I'll ask something about the agenda. Why is the budget missing from the agenda? Because last month, Mr. Siebert said it would be here on the agenda this month, that it would be discussed this month. Last year, the discussion started in October, highlighted and completed pretty much in December, and there's still not a copy of the draft budget available? Or it's not written on the agenda specifically to say we are proposing the draft budget?
When the agenda was formulated, it was prior to our finance committee meeting.
Okay, so where is it? It is going to be discussed tonight?
Yes.
Under new business.
Well, she just gave a revised budget.
Yes, and I forgot to put it on.
So where would it be then?
Under
Under new business.
Under new business? I guess you have two revised, I have the one that says it's still on.
No, you have the right one.
So just read to me where,
It's not
It
there
doesn't
now.
have to
It's
be on the
going, it doesn't
agenda.
have
Oh,
to
it
be.
doesn't have
It's
to.
going to be discussed this
I was
evening
just
now.
reading it
He's
last
just saying
week.
it's going to be under the new business section.
okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Showing that no one else from the public would like to speak, we'll move on with the agenda of our evening.
The approval of the minutes, I had sent you an email, if we can move those till January to be approved.
Yes.
Someone, make a motion.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
Thank you. The next thing is the correspondence, and I put that in for Middletown 350 for possibly the library getting a banner sponsorship with the township.
But isn't this just for businesses? I mean, we're part of the township. Why would we have to pay $350?
Because it's a, you're sponsoring banner. So if
Where'd
you
the
don't
banner
have
go?
to do it,
Where would the banner go?
they're already up, so there would be if you look at the letter, there would be a comment that would say Middletown MTDL or whatever you want it to say. So again, that's elected.
We received it, so I put it in the packet.
Every business.
Yeah, exactly. So I figured you would want to see it and review it and decide if you'd like to have
See the
it.
second page for me.
Maybe.
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, like our other departments in Middletown, like
Schools
Parks
don't
and
have a flag.
Recreation, and the
No.
schools are buying one.
No, we don't have them.
What's that?
Schools are all flying.
Yeah, they're buying flags.
They have them, no, we have.
Right. No, the reason the township has 80 banners, because there's only 80 spots that we were able to put banners up on Kings Highway and Church Street with 9/11 banners, so it's the same footprint, because you need approval from the utility companies. And, the township is not pressuring the library to buy one, we just, the letter just wanted them coming here, but ultimately, we're not giving any for free to the fire departments or recreation, or you have no sponsorship.
So everybody who wants one is back.
And gets advertised as their organization or.
And the banners become, when they take them down, we get the one.
Yes, you get the banner. When they get this down, it's like 50, 40.
Should we vote this under new business or?
Do it in your business, you can do it now.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to accept the banner?
Correct.
I'm motioning to accept the banner.
First.
Just
Purchase
purchase.
the banner, $350.
For $350.
Okay.
A second.
Roll call.
Mr. Siebert,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
No.
Mr. Shivia,
Yes.
Mr. Fury.
Well, being that I have both sides, I'm going to recuse on this one, just for the public appearance. Recuse. No, recuse, not abstain, recuse.
Mr. Coriano.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson. Yes. Ms. Lee.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute.
No, you can't.
I can't?
How many votes for
Well
them?
done.
You had four?
Yeah, we have
Okay, that's
Rob,
okay.
Cindy,
We have four, yes.
Dave, and Rob. So there is four.
That's fine, thank you.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I would have,
Oh, moving on. Sorry. The 2013 financial reports. Do you have any questions? I'll try and answer them.
Pretty straightforward.
Joan does the financial reports, so they look good.
As usual.
Didn't we mention it at a meeting or two, whether we wanted to have Joan here for these meetings, to answer any questions? We ever give that any serious thought, since she seems to put all this
Just
together?
a question. We're still paying the Winthrop JCP now?
Why is that?
Why?
I don't know. I know Joan has called several times, so I'm not 100% sure. I think she did already, but I don't know if they transferred it over to the, right, right. I don't know if it did yet. Well, to the township actually, because they have,
Revert the bills back to, if they haven't done it, which they should have changed, then we'll just revert it, submit the bills to the township.
so tell Joan to,
No, because the school board reverted it back to the township.
Oh, they did?
they did, so she should ask them from when we gave the building back to credit us.
From the day that the building was vacated from the library to the last current bill, send that bill on my direction to the administrator.
Okay, thank you. I know she's asked,
We just need to get it to make a change.
right, okay.
Or just send it to the town.
Any other questions or comments?
Good catch.
Is there a motion?
Can I just note for the record that for this bill is that J.C. Green bill is $102.34.
Yes,
Sure.
thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Motion accept? Motion accept.
Yes.
Who's second?
Mr. Fiore?
Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Abstain.
Mr. Shadid?
Yes.
Mr. Fiore?
Yes.
Mr. Cordiano?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Breen?
Yes.
Next, the President's report.
Thank you all for the amount of time you've spent here in the last couple of days, weeks, and your patience and receiving answers to certain questions you may have or certain issues that may have come up. Obviously, we have a director. Things aren't as smooth as they were in the past, and hopefully we will at some point go back to where we were, and that's about it.
Personnel committee?
Well, I think you saw the results of our endeavors. I was our interviewee.
Finance committee?
Would you like to speak on that, Mr. Nelson, since you've been so intimately involved?
Okay, the Financing Committee has met a couple of times during the last month in an attempt to, at least at this point, put together a preliminary budget so that we can go into 2014 with some reasonable numbers to be working with. I think we we've worked through a very reasonable budget. Total expenses right now are down between operating expenses and salaries and wages, about $275,000 less than last year, which is going to be a substantial help in the overall library finances. We look for not having to use all that much in existing reserves this year. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to be able to move forward on this and still provide all of the appropriate services to the community. All our members here have the proposed budget. I don't know if
I think having the, since the branch is closed, it was, at the first couple months was a little difficult to realize what the actual cost of just the main facility was. So after a significant amount of time, we were able to kind of gauge that a little bit more clearly as to what the actual, more realistic expenses were at this facility. We're just running the main branch, which helped a lot. And Joan and Wendy both said in our last meeting they were great help.
very helpful.
There's just a question on the finance. You mentioned the branches a few times. Obviously, a very difficult decision the board and finance committees had to make this year, but we see the correspondence, which is, I'm not missing anything. Have we received any correspondence or an estimate of the number of correspondences or calls or otherwise with respect to complaints for the branches being closed, and or, if so, where specifically? I have not seen one. I think I saw one email one time of a resident who complained about maybe a drop-off, but am I missing anything?
No, I think they all came out and voiced their opinions back in the beginning of the year. But other than that, no, we haven't.
I don't deal with the day-to-day and just calling in to the line.
We've had maybe one or two calls or complaints, and I think we received one email recently, but I can't say no. There was not an overwhelming amount.
Because there've been none to the mayor's office.
No. And
They're
nothing.
coming here, maybe.
No.
Question about on the budget here, Larry, that groundskeeping is considerably cut. What does that mean? Groundskeeping?
The only grounds, the only, other than the snow and ice removal that we had last year, the only other groundskeeping we had was the trimming and mulching of the beds and the fertilizing of the grass.
So that was still.
And last year we had lawn mowing and snow removal. Which
So last year that included lawn mowing and snow removal.
Which the township has been providing.
The township has.
So we will still have someone come in and take care of the shrubs and the.
Fertilizing.
Or not,
The
yeah.
good stuff. Okay.
Right now, as far as the budget, we were discussing the DVD rental, and right now DVDs are all free, right?
Correct.
Now, when we were discussing the budget, we lowered the amount of purchases of DVDs. We just had, a discussion about maybe charging for DVDs. Last month, the circulation of DVDs was 14,956 DVDs taken from the library. 3,497 audio CDs, which 3,000 of them were probably ripped to iTunes and walked out the door, which isn't our problem, but we don't charge. Is there a way to, let's say, let one person have, let's say, one DVD per month that would be gratis, and then anything above one DVD per month, we would charge them? Is there a way to on their card like that?
Well, I'm not sure if the technology if we could do that, because we'd have to go into every person's record. So I don't know if it's,
I guess-
I'm sure anything is
I guess
possible.
the question
It's
I have
relevant.
is that you might have one person coming in and taking out 20 CDs at a time.
You're talking CDs or DVDs?
Either way, you could rip a movie to a computer in less than 3 minutes, just like you can rip an audio CD to iTunes in less than 3 minutes. My point is this: that number seems really high for us not to make money on it. Now, I know we're not trying to be profitable, but in this budgetary situation that we have right now, if we charge $1 a movie above and beyond, let's say, the one that you get free. Everybody wants a free movie, okay, you get 1 month. You want to do 2 a month, whatever we decide. But what if you have just maybe 10 people that are coming in and taking 20 movies a week? That's abusing the system, and basically we're spending $30,000 a year on DVDs for just a few people to take out and pirate movies and music.
But that's a speculation, though. We don't know that that's.
I'm asking you to look into it a little bit. I'm not saying that that's happening. What I'm saying is that we should kind of probably look at that number and be a little more analytical, just to say, we're going to need a video store.
I would think that the new director, the board would discuss that with the new director, because the philosophy was that, it is.
No, I understand, but it's a
public
percentage,
library.
as a percentage of total circulation this month, fiction was 28,816. DVDs and music CDs was 18,000. Are we in the video business, or are we in the book business? Because last time I checked, we're a library, we should be worried about books, not
I
about...
think, Rob, that's part of the changing role of the library, whether we like it or not.
But
I don't think renting people the latest Wolverine movie was the intention of a library.
No, it isn't, but I think the philosophy was you gotta get people through the door.
I understand, but I don't think anybody that's renting Wolverine is necessarily going to the fiction section, picking out the latest fiction bestseller. All I'm saying is that we might want to consider the abuse of that benefit that we're giving people, because we should be looking to promote the library in maybe a different way. That's all I'm saying.
I think put another way, other libraries are also looking at that, but here's, I don't know if you have.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
My question is this, looking at this budget here, which I commend the finance committee, because this budget would only take a very small portion of reserves compared to mammoth portions in the past. So here's my question. DVDs, as my colleague mentioned. We budgeted, it was budgeted for $37,000 last year. As of November 30th, we've only spent $20,000. Is $37,000 much too high? Or are we just making all of the purchases in December? To me, it just doesn't seem, based on what I see here, how we're budgeting, it's almost like, and I've had this criticism in the past with previous administrations, which is like this end of the year spend, just massive spend. I saw it on the bill list at the township. It's a massive end of the year spend it like you don't have it, you're going to lose it mentality. So my point is, up until November 30th, according to the financial records here, we allocated $37,000 to DVDs. We spent 20.
But there is.
And I'm sure there are some outstanding invoices, but half?
We
What you're saying is, when you spend it in 11 months, you're gonna spend it one.
I know.
And that's what we did.
I know we
Line
took
by
it
line.
down in this budget, it's been taken down, and I applaud that, but it's just not DVDs, right? I mean,
No, it came back.
I know,
What we looked at was the spending through November,
Line
right?
by line.
and line by line, and what bills were out there.
And I give you much credit, and I just mentioned, because you're not getting resource, but the policies of the past, which I'm glad in this budget that have been addressed. I know Mr. McCullough will want to say it. But the policies of the past, I mean, the spending to date, it just seemed that it was a massive spend. We spent $180,000
Yeah, we have
to date.
$11,000 left, and there's 1 month to go. Go spend 11,000, which is not going to lose it next year.
And I know there's other outstanding invoices, because there's maybe a 30 or 60-day lag. I get that, but books is a perfect example. $300,000 allocated, 180 spent. I don't care how many outstanding invoices you have, it's not $120,000 right now. Unless
And that's
there
how,
was a decision to do that. So
and
I applaud,
that was the major formulation of.
I
What was
applaud
cut?
the finance committee for finally tackling that. Because I think that's why,
There were some lines that did go up,
Right.
but
Again.
the majority of them went down.
again, it just always seemed at the end of the year, all cool things don't happen in December and November. I mean, except for holiday shopping. It just doesn't.
So, and we tried to take them into
No,
consideration.
I applaud what you did. So I'm just making a comment. that-
Getting back to the DVD CD discussion, now, I'm sure the public might have a question about that. I think that that's something that we should really seriously consider charging, or if we're doing an analysis of the people that are renting them in the last month or two, is there any way to check it to see if you have 5 people renting $500 a month, it's being abused. Okay? Now, personally, I know my wife's been here. She takes the DVDs. Some of them are scratched and not really well taken care of. A lot of times you have to put them on hold and not here. It is what it is. So is it worth us spending, or not? Well, we tried to spend $37,000 this year. We spent $20,000, but what are we doing with that? Because to me, that's just waste. Just for
I think that's something that when we have our new director, it will be one of the things that she should be looking at and giving us a recommendation.
I think that in the meantime, we should look at what, and Wendy, maybe you can find out from the system or run a report, find out, where's the usage coming from? Because to me, that sounds like a lot of rentals, 14, 15,000.
It is, when you see it on a piece of paper and we don't see, we're not here day to day. And you see that number and you say, oh, well, what if it was $1 for every one? But, in theory, you're not
You'd have half.
you'd probably see half that amount.
All right,
But
that's fine, half is fine.
But,
It's
for
85 grand.
for some people, entertainment comes in different forms. And, some people may enjoy reading books, some people may enjoy coming here and reading the newspaper every morning, and then there's, obviously, there's a lot of people who enjoy our DVDs, and, libraries do ebb and flow and changes in technology, and I'm sure at one point, a lot of libraries had vinyl records on their shelves, and I think we have to be very, very slow to start charging for services that obviously are so utilized. So I think when there is a director, we can more clearly evaluate that and make a decision.
To Mr. Cordione's point, is something that I think the board definitely needs to discuss with the director. Because it's not just a Middletown.
You're right.
No,
No, they're
too, though, some
and-
of this stuff is just old CDs, movies, old stuff.
And
I don't think
to
you're
your point,
paying $1 to rent,
Casablanca.
And-
as a,
But you're getting
Believe it or not,
14,000.
believe it or not, you're getting, I mean, when
But I
I
don't
looked at the
know
number, when I looked at the
what
number,
they're gonna pay.
I looked at the numbers in the past and I said, it seems ridiculously high. And I kept on looking at the number, I'm like, it's about the same, give or take, it's consistently high.
there
So,
is,
and I'm just thinking, like, if you give someone 1 free a week or 1 free a month, that would be reasonable. I think that if one person is taking 30 movies a month, just so this way they could have, I guess I just want to know where this is.
Can an analysis be done, is my question, where we can look at the use of DVDs and CDs to see, break down the 14,000 by number of users who rented. So,
I'm
if you're
sure.
14,000 by 14,000 people, we know that everybody rented
How many-
one on average.
How many unique users?
Yeah.
How many unique
Exactly.
users? And if we see 100 unique users rented 14,000 things, we know there's 100, right? So we
Yeah.
can.
I mean, just
We
as a
can-
percentage of
Yeah,
labor,
Scott can run that
if
report.
you're just as a percentage of labor that you're using for those 15,000 DVDs,
Yours will shut down at 8:45.
18% of the labor is going towards
Computer shut down.
the rental of DVD.
Suppose you have a very lonely person, all he has in his life is secrets.
Exactly.
And he rents
And
one
that's
every
exactly why we
day.
should be doing DVDs
After
for
it
all the
closes
people.
at 8:50.
Well, yes, that's part of
Definitely, I
it.
agree. Vivian, I agree 100%.
So you're taking your
points, I agree.
taking into consideration they're lonely and impoverished.
Yes,
Was
That's
there,
what you're saying.
yes.
of course. Was there any other comments or questions on the introduced budget? We will move forward with our agenda. In regards to replacement of the manager of the children's department, I will make a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Corrigan?
Motion to table.
I didn't hear what you said. Yes.
Thank you. Replacement of the borrow services page.
Danielle Kalani, she resigned from the library as a library page. She works in borrower services, and the borrower services manager feels that we had cut down on how many, pages we do have, and we really do need to replace that person, and so they asked that if we could replace.
That's one question before we go up. So, looking at circulation statistics from last year to this year. Obviously, circulation has everything to do with pages, right? So putting things back on, putting things back off the shelves, that's
Yes.
what page functions. So my question is, my question is from, you might not have an answer to this, but from last year, from an employee staffing perspective to this year, what was the change in number of pages? Obviously, there's one less now as of whatever date we lost one, but how many did we have in 2012? How many do we have in 2013?
I'd have to go and look, because they moved around a
No,
lot.
right.
We had so many pages, move around. We had one leave, we had another one leave this year, so, and some we didn't replace, some we did replace. So I honestly, I know we always had 9 or 10.
So is it safe to say that we had 9 or 10 last year
I would
and
think
9 or 10 this year? We
They're
might
only-
have 8 if this woman,
But they're only at the main branch.
I understand that.
I'd have to
Fair to
go.
say?
Fairness is, I don't want to say anything unless I look at it and know specifically how many we had last year as opposed to how many we have this year. And, I mean, I can email that to you to let you know, email you guys and let you know how many we had,
My
just to make
concern,
sure.
my concern is, we've had about,
12%.
rough estimate here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700,000 less items borrowed. Year over year, unless it's a running, I'm sorry, 114, it's running total, let me take that back, running total, 114,000. I thought it was a lot, I'm like, wow, that's
Yeah, no.
really a lot.
No, it's a 12%
12%,
decrease.
so you have, so you have about 115,000 items borrowed less as of November. So for me to vote on an additional, if the staffing were the same last year to this year, I'm not sure that you warrant another page when you've had 12% reduction. And that's just for pages because things aren't coming on and off the shelves. So I'd like to see that data before, if the board wants to take a vote on it. Tonight, you can, but I think it's.
How much does a page cost? What's-
They make, well, as of January 1, they'll make $8.25 an hour.
Okay, 25,
Which is
approximately
minimum.
how many hours does each one work?
They work about 16 to 20 hours a week.
I think with the high turnover of pages at this point, I would sooner look to replace one rather than not hire one. I think since we are seeing so much turnover of pages, I think that we don't have a sufficient recommendation to not hire one.
I mean, I think page is a small expenditure that helps make the library run smoothly. I don't
And
know.
I would say in 2014, we'll probably see a couple more pages come up.
You have 115,000 less borrowed items if your staffing level is relatively consistent, which is my question.
The thing is, Tony, you know, we don't have someone overseeing this now, like a director, to say to us, this is what's happening, this is why,
Very
you
simple
know.
question, though, and she doesn't have the answer. I'm not expecting Lindy to have the answer. The question is, if staffing is much lighter this year than it was last year, and now you're even lighter, I can see it. If staffing was relatively unchanged up until right now, and you lost one, and you went from 10 to 9 right now, going to mention again, you could call it trivial cost, but you question many trivial costs, before too. And I just, for me, it's a staffing issue. And
It's $6,000 a year.
But does the department, you said recommends that they need this person?
Megan
Aren't
did
they-
recommend to replace her. I'm trying to think of all the pages we have right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think right now I'm at 7, and that's with,
then
That's
then
with
you had
her.
10 last year.
that's with Danielle, so it would go down to 6.
Right.
So,
Where
and
last
I
year
know
was
that we
probably
definitely
9.
we had about 9, at least 9.
And that's all I need to know.
That's a rough estimate, though. I'm not sure.
If you have 7 now, you're pretty
everybody.
sure you had more than 8 last year?
Yes.
So
I mean, I can go and get, I can.
it's basic math. If
In
you have
fairness,
10 and
in
there's a
fairness,
5%
can I
increase,
just
you
go
have
get the
9.
page list right now, so I know?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Because I don't want
it's workable analysis.
I mean, if you're decreasing the number of pages by 12%, then 12% is 12%.
That's a regression analysis. I know exactly.
Dave, I guess
But that's going back into analysis.
It's the David Jack.
No, it's here.
Or they say clone, it's not me. This is my wife every once in a while, so they should just have this sudden allergy attack where everything goes nuts. It's like, what happened? I don't know, something. It's a big particle or something. She literally started having an allergic reaction. Eyes of water.
That's what's happening, I don't.
It's like just sitting there on the couch.
I'm not an allergic.
Oh, she's allergic. She's allergic to that.
I'm not, I'm not.
I don't know what she's allergic to, but they always. We don't have cats, so we don't have any animals in the house.
too, yeah, right?
You're really leaving?
I know.
Oh, my goodness, I might cry right now.
You're still in school, though, right?
Yes, this is my last month here.
And who's taking your place?
I believe, I won't announce it.
Did you see her play now?
Bigger?
She's going to play now.
That's awesome.
That's
Awesome.
good news is that there's no formal action needs to be taken, so you can announce any time, so that's super us to do.
Yeah.
You're not public information, it doesn't matter, superintendent doesn't mean choice, there's no voting action in case. It's not my business to meet. Okay, I'll ask you after the meeting. Actually, it is your business to announce, because he doesn't take a formal action, by the way. You don't have to.
Suppose he changes his mind.
So in 2012, we had 10 pages,
It's 10 pages.
10 pages. And with Danielle leaving, we would be down to 7.
Fair enough. Move forward.
Sure. So that was how many now?
10 7. Oh, we should hire at least 2 more. I'm getting you one.
Your recommendation is for 1.
Give me a second.
I need a motion.
I did.
Motion, second.
Second,
Which is good right now.
Mr. Seaver,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Shivia,
Yes.
Mr. Fiore,
Yes.
Mr. Coriano, Ms. Wilson. Yes. Ms. Green.
That's not only
I know there's no other new business. I should wait for Mr. McCumber.
Okay.
He's not here. I mean, I know there's other new business. I want to bring up something for new business. No, just still waiting. Yeah. So I don't have an opportunity at the end of the point of the meeting. So we have no further new business on the agenda, correct? And technically, under the rules of order, there's really no other time for board members to bring up ideas and we'll bring up other business here. So I would like the chair to entertain, and I know this is probably in committee, but whoever the committee chairs are, to entertain some changes in the rules here of the agenda, okay? So here's my point, the reason I'm bringing some new business, although I could technically walk out there in a public session. A, we have 2 public sessions. I feel that's duplicative, as we saw tonight. I mean, the public doesn't, and rightfully so, you know, sometimes will ask questions that aren't part of the agenda, so I don't see the need for 2 public session agendas. I know this might be a policy committee, so I'm just going to bring up new business anyways. I'm not on that committee. So that's 1. 2, there's no time on the agenda at all, and I think the chair of future boards should have a section for the public comments. No comment section of any board member at all, except for something that's on the agenda. So if a board member has comments on anything, I mean, you have to bring it up under new business. I mean, in the township committee, there's township committee comments. And I'm not saying you have to go around and say, Mr. Coriano, you could ask just the section to say, does anybody from the board have anything, any comments that they'd like to make on library operations? But you don't have that opportunity right now, as the rules of order,
A
correct?
lot of boards do have that, Mr. President. They also do call it, member comments, or for the good of the order. Sometimes they put that, but there is a section where members can just bring up something that they want to bring up. Many boards do that.
So, I mean, ultimately, I'm bringing some new business, but there could be something that voted on tonight that you want to comment on,
I believe our agenda is actually going to be 5 ones.
whatever committee it's in. I'm asking that committee to take action.
Okay. So, is there any other comments from the follower and the lawyer?
So Tony, you're saying you want 1 public
I
session?
think a public session should stay stay, the
At
second
the end?
public session at the end should stay. The public session of the agenda is duplicative because you can ask those questions at the same time. If you want to make the public session prior to the agenda, you can do that too. That's at the board of policy's pleasure. But I just think it's
Then you want a comment section.
I think there should be a section. Otherwise, technically speaking, although I've broken the rules several times, you'd have to get up during the public, excuse yourself, get up during the public portion and then speak as a member of the public because you have no opportunity to.
And where do you want that, at the end?
It should be before the adjournment, I suppose. Right?
Yeah, typically, it's either after new business before the last executive session.
Okay.
The only problem with that is that if somebody wants to speak on something that's going to be voted on that's on the agenda before the vote takes place to make their point, they're going to have an issue.
Even as a board member?
No, no, it's part of the vote. If we move it to only a piece at the end, that become a problem.
I think we don't have two different sections, just for that reason. I think that agenda items have to be discussed prior to voting, and I think that.
But nothing stops you, Rob, from, here's the issue here.
Yeah, when you have a first and a second, then you have discussion.
Right.
So then you're commenting then, right? Am I correct? During the discussion?
No, what Tony's saying, there should be one at the end.
Or you can move it at the beginning.
Or at the beginning.
But, sorry.
And they can speak on anything, not just agenda items.
But I think that what we're saying is that you can speak on anything prior to, but then as we vote, is there a comment afterwards that they want to make before we adjourn? So
So,
that when we're closing the door to discussion on a vote,
From the public after it's already taken place? Yes, you would.
you would be closing the door to that.
If you have one public comment
Prior
pre
to-
pre the agenda,
Pre-
yes,
yeah.
that's exactly right.
Is there a problem with that legally?
From a legal perspective, no.
Well, maybe it should be kept at the end so that people could,
say, I think you made a terrible decision.
yeah.
Should be here all the time.
Many boards do have it before the agenda, so people have an opportunity to comment on the agenda. But not every board has two sessions. Some boards have one session for public comment, one for questions, which I don't advise. You know, it's not, there are boards that do just one.
But on the other hand, is it really that time consuming? We don't really have that.
But I mean, think about, you know, again, duplicity. And I'm just trying to.
But you mean duplicate?
You're duplicating, so someone can ask a question about the agenda, say, I agree or disagree with the 2013 voucher list.
I would say,
Public session, you go right back up and
I would
they
say
can
it'd have to be before we vote.
You
Before
know,
we
there
vote.
seemed to be a
before the
problem
agenda.
at the time with a lot of people coming and speaking, and I think the more opportunity, I think the public library, people want
I'm
to come.
not saying advocate.
No, I know, I'm just saying, I don't think
I
it's
understand what you're saying.
that big a deal that
Before and
if
after.
people want to come and speak before and after, I don't, you know, I think it should be as open to the public to speak as possible.
I just.
No, we're not closing the, now.
Right.
I just think if you open it all in one shot, instead of making a piecemeal, it might.
I would have had no issue as a member of the public who would have come up earlier and been able to ask her question at the beginning of the meeting, but it wasn't on the agenda, obviously, so it's actually to the end of the meeting. I would have no problem with the addressing, if you want to put the public comment portion at the beginning of the meeting. I just don't see, I think you foster confusion, and I just don't see the benefit when you can just move this public session 10 to 4 and get rid of 4 and let anybody talk about anything for their 5 minutes before you get into your meeting. They can ask their questions there.
And they don't have to sit through a whole meeting.
Now, it's a general meeting either.
No, I would agree with that. Suppose I want to say something after the meeting. They have to hang around and say something after the meeting, like,
Want to
dirty
sit around
dogs,
talking?
dirty dogs, or...
No, well, I mean, the truth is that they're going to be heard.
They're going to be heard.
They're gonna be heard
just
no matter
in
what.
Section 4, but on anything versus having to do it twice. It's all. And
Once we vote, it's final anyway, so if they say something that we don't agree with, it's like, well, it's done.
It's not already.
Anybody else have any feelings on this, one way or the other? Dave?
Well, my feelings was that they didn't need to say something before a vote takes place.
I think that's valid.
That is asked that this be entertained on the bylaws of city.
Yes.
Oh, I understand.
New business with that.
I'll print them.
New business.
I don't know where they, somebody might have.
I guess 40. Consolidation packet. Not mine.
Like resolution?
No, yeah, the
40.
I might add, I think everybody should at least take a piece of one of these cakes. She went to a lot of trouble to bring this. So if we don't touch it, kind of insulting. Come on, Brock, get in there.
I promise to do my part and step up to the plate.
All right, good man,
I
good man.
love you.
I'll take one home.
That was very nice of her to do that.
It was.
I made sure that I acknowledged it. I really did a couple of things, why it was very short.
Would you like some more?
Next, I think we'll get about the town. If anybody wants one.
That's what I'm talking about.
Maybe a nice bottle of gut, town. It's delicious. It's so good.
What was that?
Deep McAllen, oh my God, it's like heaven. You can't have more than two. If you have more than two McAllen, you start losing.
We'll compare notes and so on. Council.
Oh, the sun.
Wait.
We are waiting for, they're looking for resolution 2013-40, consolidation of bank accounts, which is missing. We have a number of different,
Oh my God, it's so nice.
Wait, President.
store what? Which one do I need to tell them which one?
She wants a 25.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's only $700.
Dollars?
Yeah.
It's very reasonable.
The bottom came from the bottom of this week.
That place is great prices.
It's heaven.
That's, the only other place is big now over in Bed.
Is it good?
Yeah. But that place is great.
Account $47.99 for the 12. Very
I
nice.
don't know how they do it.
Impressive. I'm very happy that it's close to
Yeah,
that.
that's great. It's right next to Sono too.
Perfect to go pick up your
Did you sushi and then?
You get your wine and then.
That's right.
Sake. Like sake. I like everything. Everything the white thing.
You got my attention with sushi.
You see, now that's, Sono is awesome.
You know what's awesome?
I agree.
Riesling.
I don't get out much anymore than I used to get. It just, it's always fresh. I don't know why.
So, that's it. You know why?
Volume?
They just, they get 3 orders a week.
We
They
can
get
move on.
three orders a week, yeah.
Resolution 2013-38 is the continuation of legal counsel until a contract is awarded in the January reorganization meeting
Ladies and gentlemen, the library will be
at the
closed
same
in
rate.
5 minutes.
And,
We will reopen Martin Luther
Discussion?
Bathroom International.
Motion. Second.
roll call vote.
Yes. Crosby, yes. Tony, Tony, there for you?
Mr. Seaver, yes. Ms. Brink,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
This is on, all the resolution?
Just 30.
38.
38,
It's
yes.
like a copy.
Mr. Coriano,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens,
Yes.
Mr. Fewer.
Absolutely.
One more. Yeah, you can see that. State execution. Do you have the copy?
Yes.
Didn't we go through this last month?
We
Feels like it.
did do the copier.
Didn't we say yes?
I think we spoke about net firm prices.
But we haven't.
Does anybody, maybe someone's here,
Does
It's
it
comparable or not?
it says here there's an attached pricing list?
Yeah, that's right there.
And I recall, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
The bond
that's-
she presented it, was like, there was no question that we should do it.
Now, the only question I have is about the color copier. They pay for copies, yes?
I know.
Yes.
These are the ones used by.
This is like the office.
These are not the ones used by the general
No,
public.
no, this is the office copiers. Okay, so why do we need a color copier? Really?
I need one from time to time. I mean, these things come
I
up.
think these can,
That's color print.
yeah.
You need a color copier? One of the most abused things in my office.
But that's your office. It's not abused here.
I'm sure it's abused here like everywhere else in the color copy. Because they only need the color copy.
With the fast color copies. You'd never be able to read this blue strip if you didn't have.
Markers,
That's the only
The shades of gray have worked for a very long time. Long time.
This is an issue. You have experience with.
Yes, you know how much,
this right here.
you know how much per copy, a color copy is versus, yeah, it's like 60 cents. So when you get one person that comes in, it's
The
like
new kid.
ripping, wow. It's, no, I'm telling you, with the ink,
We're on 20, we're on.
with the ink,
Should we have, obviously, the color. Color.
Oh,
depends on the type of
You
machine
want
it is.
Huh?
No, it's-
no, I want this book to go.
Yeah.
It's not like this.
That doesn't include.
Okay. What's up with the question about the color copy?
Question several.
Okay,
First of all, this is a lease, right?
yes, it is, a 5-year lease.
Not a lease. Anyway, does this price, there's a price here that you
Typo.
quoted, does this include?
If you could do my work, and then maybe I won't have a typo.
Oh my God.
The price is quoted here, does that include the ink cartridges? Ink or-
No, we pay for that ourselves. That comes out of the supplies.
Do you know what the difference is per month for the various ink cartridges? Has that been provided at all?
How much per month with ink
I mean,
cartridges?
how much should you be spending for the ink cartridges along with?
I would have to ask Joan.
Because it could be for different products, the ink
The
cartridges.
ink cartridges are very expensive.
They could vary quite a bit and maybe overcome the lower cost of the lease itself.
Well, right now, I can tell you that we're paying, in doing these new, in purchasing from Toshiba, 2 of the black and white at $105 per month, right? It'd be $25.20 for the year, for the contract for the 2 of them. And $169 per month for the administration office would be $2,028 for the year. And I can tell you that right now, we are currently paying $4,800 for the 2, which is one in children's public and the adult public. And we're paying $2,600 for the administration one. So basically, the new contract, and we still provide our own cartridges. So we'd be getting one.
No, the question is,
Yeah, that's-
the price difference in the cartridges, like, some cartridges come with the cartridge, the printer head in the cartridge.
There's much discount.
And they're like, let's say,
Actually, those are more.
those are like
But I have to
$220.
ask Joan, because she definitely knows, and she said this was like getting one copy of.
No, I'm not disputing the price of the lease. It's
Right.
just that, like, some color cartridges.
But I think she must have looked, she had to have looked at that, because she looks at every detail, so she had to have known. She had recommended this, and we have to pay for the cartridges like any other
No.
place.
If you use 5 cartridges that are for the Toshiba at 105 a month, and those 5 cartridges are $90 each.
Mhm,
And you buy 5 cartridges for the Century, and they're $30 each.
mhm.
Therein lies the rub. So unless we know the prices of the cartridges and how much usage there is, the price of the lease is kind of
I have to ask her.
We should know that.
We should probably know that before we decide, because it could be a big,
It could be a
big
huge
number.
difference. This is not trivial, it's gonna be big.
It could be a big number, I'm just
There's
saying.
another reason why we might want to have Joan at these meetings with all these questions. I mean, it's kind of holding us up, all these, if she's not here to answer these questions.
Well, this was her recommendation to go with Toshiba, and I know she looked at it thoroughly, but it's totally up to you guys. If you just want to wait, that's fine. We have no contracts right now. We are going to wind up paying because those machines are definitely at their shelf life. They've done. But
No one else provided a color copy quote besides Toshiba?
Yeah, we had 3, Xerox,
It's
Century.
just a black and white,
And
it doesn't
Toshiba.
say color. On
No,
Xerox and Century.
They didn't. I don't know if they did. I'd have to ask her, but this is what she
So it's
wrote.
not, so technically, we can't accept this bid unless we see what the bids were for color on Xerox and Century, because you only have one bid unless they didn't bid.
Well, these aren't bids. These are
Quotes.
just quotes.
Why isn't there a quote for the Xerox and Century for color?
I'd have to ask her.
So then I say we table this resolution. So we get the total. I don't know if it's to your pleasure to do that, but.
I don't care either way what you do. Just know that when the machines go,
I
that
understand
you
that,
have to
Wendy,
pay
but
the
you
service.
have to provide.
I
you
understand
have
that,
to
Tony. I'm
provide-
not arguing with you.
You are arguing with me.
No,
You
I'm
are.
not.
I'm just asking that we have the data on if they provide the color code or not, because if their color code is 140 to 129, and to Mr. Sivics' point, if a Xerox cartridge costs $40 and a Toshiba costs $90, the quotes turn completely upside down, so I don't disagree.
There's a
I
motion.
motion table.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2013-40.
Did you say aye?
I just thought we talked about this last month.
Okay. Were there, just out of curiosity,
I think
any
that
opposed to
the
the motion?
board definitely should have Ms. Kopp come to these meetings as far as the finances are concerned for the library, because I don't handle every aspect of the administration office. So I think someone should make a motion that she does attend these meetings, and then someone should speak to her about that.
I don't think a motion is necessary.
I will start with Ms. Scott.
You have to ask her. She's a civil servant. You have to ask her if she'll attend that.
I will ask.
Nicely.
Nicely.
Very nice.
Yeah, extremely nicely.
2013-40 has to do with the statement of financial assets. If you take a moment to get that out, you can look at it next to each other. The Hudson City, it seems as if we have a lot of bank accounts open with not a lot of, I mean, certain ones have more money, certain ones have less money. So the recommendation was to consolidate them, which 2013-40 does. Transferring, closing the Hudson City and putting it into the TD demand deposit account. Transfer the restricted funds to the TD demand deposit account. And also cash the CD at the Two Rivers that is due on January 20th and deposit into the TD demand deposit account and renew the CD with Two Rivers for another period of 12 months.
Is there any interest in interest rates here? Because we don't have any interest rates here. We're good. Like,
These days, it probably doesn't matter that much,
I think we're probably talking about a few dollars.
but it's good to look at, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm very upset.
You get
The reason-
almost 1% in a money market online versus 0.2%.
Well, I believe the reason.
Yeah, the rates are on here.
I believe the reason we opened the different accounts was,
I mean, we have 450 grand in the bank,
60 is
1%.
That's about, it's, Is there a page number on it?
It's the reserves.
10 pages in, that's a
Yeah. .08. This is the CD. And your money market right now, your money market is like 0.8, 0.9. Oh, no,
it's going down, but orange electric is down a little bit. 0.07.
So the combination of all these funds in the TD bank still be under a level that's insurable? These are all insured funds?
Yes, I think so.
What is it, 250 for?
250, you have to have it on two separate
We're
accounts.
not close.
So they'll all still be insured?
Are we close to that? 42, 6. I don't know what the CDs are. But they're all separate, it's still, CDs are too. How much is the total? Yeah, so we want to make sure that we look at that. They should definitely, if 250 is still the level, then we have to break down.
And is the resolution 2013-30 number on this, 340 also?
Correct.
I mean, some of them are, they're just renewing them, right?
The renewal is one CD, and
So the,
cash
is
is
that,
the other
is it
CD.
how big is the 200 CD? It ends in 1 CD.
Why are we going from a whopping 0.25% rate on the Hudson City money to 0.08? Leave it there. Doesn't make any sense. Not that either one's gonna make you a fortune,
But
but, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Operationally, it did because
That's where our
location wasn't streamlined with other activities.
Drug law attached.
Correct.
All right, so that's, okay, that's for 17 basis points, cool. If it's operational,
We
fine.
can keep it open,
No,
but
no, I mean,
Does it have to be accessible to drive? Can't you just do an ACH transfer when you need money and put it in American Express?
hold on, before you get to that question.
You can open up a commercial account with American Express, and the interest rate is 0.92 or something like that. That's,
There's restrictions on what
yeah,
you
you
can and
know,
can't keep.
some of that stuff you gotta be careful about. The auditors doesn't we can't use certain accounts. Certain kinds of
and
audits.
is that the IC in commercial?
I don't know why.
So, my only question is,
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, that would be, sure.
Mr. Seaver, my only other question is, why cash one CD that expires on 1/20/14 and renew the other that extends on 1/20/14? Why wouldn't you just renew them both at a higher rate? At Two Rivers. Your recommendation here on the resolution is to cash one of the CDs, which expires on which matures at on 1/20, put it into this demand account, and the other one is to renew it. Why not just renew them both? And that's a much higher rate, like 4.
That's the existing rate.
What's the,
You don't know what's going to renew it.
yeah, but it's probably more than 0.08. I mean, if it's a CD, a 1-year CD, I hope it'd be more than 0.08, but whatever.
The one thing that is important is we just make sure that whatever, if we're going to deposit more funds in this demand deposit account, that they don't exceed the insurance threshold.
I just don't know why we're going to move a 1-year CD into a demand deposit unless we need access to the capital.
I don't anticipate.
Then why are we passing a resolution? require me shopping for one-year CD rates, which are even better than local markets. Slightly, but
Would you like to amend the resolution?
I would like to table it.
I don't think you can vote on the resolution until you figure out the CD issue.
When is our next meeting? Because these things will automatically renew, I think, 20th of November. So,
Okay,
well, that's the only thing.
that could be the
Because I've
issue.
been caught by that before, especially with this. Not that we
The
have.
answer to that is.
So you have to give it 10 days.
You have a 10-day grace period?
10 day window, 15 minutes.
Okay, as long as we know that for sure, because that's.
Yeah, you have
I've been-
15,
I've
8,
been
7,
that.
it's 15 is the next one.
15.
Okay,
So you have 5 days in between 7 and 5.
That is plenty.
okay, so you can take it. I've made that mistake. So, okay.
So, like just right in the middle.
And I need the money. Buy a house. Big sacrifice.
Penalty.
I sacrificed the interest for
7 months.
a long time.
I'm not even worried about that.
No, it doesn't make any money anyway, so
I look like
it's not gonna make extra.
I look like it like it's on fees. So they say you save this much in fees.
Interest used to be on this place.
11,
12%.
Rob, on the printer issue, total cost of ownership is what we're looking for.
Yes.
There's tables online, and I mean, it really doesn't have to do that much research on it. It's cost per copy. There's actually like an analysis of how much the lease payment is, how much the renewals are, and it's like,
I think she has the package, she just didn't give it to me.
it's fine, it's not a big deal, it's just that you don't want to just,
Oh, I agree with you.
I mean, you're gonna be married to the machine for 5 years, and
Yeah.
if, let's say, one of the other machines is a little more user-friendly than the other,
Mhm.
then,
Was there a motion to table?
yes, motion.
Yes, it was.
All in
This is
favor?
40.
Oh, 40, yeah, I have to.
Aye.
Aye.
I.
Aye, yeah. You're still with us?
I'm with you. I am.
Prior to our next public session, I'd like to thank Mrs. Wilson for her tenure on the board here. I will miss you. I appreciate all your input and wisdom you've brought to the table. You're certainly an asset. And you'll be missed.
It's been very interesting.
I hope we have kept you entertained.
Always.
I hope your predecessor will, successor, excuse me, will fill half your shoes.
Now you will.
Do you know who it is?
Moving.
Oh, we have to those can't, yeah, public session?
Aren't there 2 additional resolutions?
That we discussed in executive session.
Couple comments, I'm not still on. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, that's great.
Just a sec. That public session came up faster than I thought, because I would be on the A couple comments. Mr. Nelson you had abstained from the vote on the financials at this meeting and at the last meeting. Was there a particular reason?
I have some questions on the financial statements that were prepared by the accounting firm that need to be resolved.
Okay. Were those some of the same issues that you brought up with the last couple meetings or 2 meetings ago, or is it something new that you discussed?
This is the last meeting.
Okay. Since you asked those questions, were you given a time frame for when you might get an answer to those questions? And who is responsible for getting back to you with the answers?
Mrs. Seaver?
I have not spoken to CFO
I'm sorry, what was that?
I have not spoken to this new CFO yet.
Okay. And when do you plan to?
Did you just start like 2 days ago?
Yeah, I believe she did. I thought I'd let her figure out where the office and the bathroom and the parking lot is first.
Okay. So are you going to be waiting till January, I guess, to address this?
No,
Okay, so maybe you might have an answer. There might be some resolution at the next meeting, possibly.
possibly.
Okay. Other comment, Mr. Fiore, I had to, made a suggestion to eliminate one of the public comment periods. And I have to disagree with that. Members of the public have very little opportunity to participate as it is. And there was a comment that from the board that the early comment period serves those who need to either leave early or who wish to discuss an item before a vote. And that the latter comment period allows for opportunity to comment on what was actually discussed at the meeting. And I think that, and so both comment periods serve a very good purpose and a different purpose. And Mr. Fiore also compared the meeting protocol here to that of the Township Committee.
I certainly did not.
Oh, but you did bring it up.
Watch your tape again. I certainly did not. I
All
said
right.
other boards. Never did I reference the Township Committee.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought I heard that. I can go back to the video, the audio. But in any case, and suggested a change here, well, someone else could make the same comparison and recognize the need for greater opportunity for public comment at those other board and committee meetings. So I guess it's a matter of how you look at it, or which side of the aisle you're on, which side of the table you're on. But, I think that all public bodies should remember who they serve. People come to these meetings and they listen to this board deliberate for hours. You don't have the privilege of seeing the documents that you're looking at. So, I just think it's important to allow us to participate to the extent that we can, and we currently do. Also, there's a question regarding why one of these resolutions was tabled. This was under new business, had to do with the replacement of the manager in the children's department. Do we currently have a manager now, or did she already resign or retire?
Her last day of employment is Saturday, but she officially retires January 1st.
Okay, so as of this coming Saturday, we don't have a manager in the children's department?
That would be correct.
And can I ask the reason why that topic then was tabled for discussion?
Do we have a director yet, Mr. Seaver?
No, I don't believe we did.
So do we want to make managerial choices before a director comes in place?
No, I
All right.
wouldn't believe that.
Sound like power reasons? Say what sound like power reasons, Mr. Seaver?
I would say it is Mr. Goode.
Awesome.
Okay. So, another something else I wanted to ask about. Oh, another issue, and I mentioned this to Wendy. A lot of times on the agenda, it says executive session, regular session, public session. It's not really clear what regular session means, but, there's
We have to
regular-
go back into regular session.
Okay, so that's.
After executive, you have to go back in
By law.
to adjourn the meeting.
For openness and transparency.
Correct.
Okay,
That's
so
why I put it. Please stop.
Yeah, again, I agree with Ms. Delmeyer. There's really no need to be responding to questions that way. They're legitimate questions. So that's actually.
That's the legal reason why, is it not, Mr.
Okay, so the
That is
term
why.
regular meeting is actually
It's-
the
yeah,
regular session.
Technically, under the act, you're supposed to return to regular session after an executive session and adjourn out of regular session. I am aware that some boards, when they do not intend to take business, will make an announcement that we're going to adjourn out of exec and they just leave. I prefer not to do that. I think it's still necessary to come back into regular session,
Okay, I think
open
you
public
see what I
session,
mean.
and then adjourn.
Okay, so it's fine, when I see it that way on the agenda, fine, I'll understand it, but often what I'll see a lot of meetings is that they refer, when they're adopting their minutes from a particular session, they'll say regular session minutes, and that really has no meaning to me. I think of it as public session or executive, since they're actually adopted separately, usually one.
Well, you'll note on our agenda, the public session as number 10 is for when the public has a chance to speak.
All right,
So
so
it would be
just
public
terminology.
session. If you want to name it, it could be an open session rather than closed session. But I think it's,
If I were to say put in a request for the minutes from the regular session, what would I be provided?
everything with exception to the executive session.
So the public session minutes.
You guys are worse than lawyers.
You're arguing something.
And that's saying a lot.
Can you please sum up your comments here?
5 minutes. 5
Okay,
minutes.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie Elmer, Green Street Terrace, and Lincroft. Has there been any work done on the strategic plan by the strategic plan committee?
No, there's not.
Has there been any work done the entire year on the strategic plan?
Yes, it was done by the former director.
The former director. At what point in the year? Before the bridges were closed or after?
After.
Okay. How much is the appropriation final number from the county on the budget? The further amount?
$3,387,631.
Okay. Will we see the preliminary budget on the website, the draft that you have now, will that go on the website as it did last year?
I haven't decided that yet.
Is there anything, is that the protocol, is there any kind of, is it up to the discretion of the director normally, or the board normally? I know the township puts their draft up, right? Before it's voted on.
I don't know what boundary is the language of the township.
Can I ask that you put it on?
You can make that request.
Well, I hope you do. Going back to the number on the circulation that where you came up with the 12%, I was just wondering if the circulation number you were looking at included DVDs and CDs circulation, or if it just was books?
Inclusive.
It's everything.
Every
It's
total.
everything that circulated was put back. Okay, so because I don't know how that's, what that number means. And as far as the duplicitous nature of the public comments, I appreciate Mr. Shibiak's comment, because a lot of times I look at the agenda, I really don't even understand what some of the items mean. You know, it's different with the township committee where they kind of give you a little background on what certain items are. And so that's where a lot of questions do come up at the beginning. And you need to ask questions before a vote takes place, or at least to express your opinion, so that it may sway a member to go the opposite way when a different opinion is given. And then the last thing is, over the course of Mr. Fiore's tenure on this board, I really am upset by the tone that he takes, and the word choices and sarcasm. And I think tone is very important when you're speaking publicly to a member, about a member of the public, and you've made so many snide comments this year.
As
And
you
it
have
hurts.
to, Ms. Elminger.
I have not. I would like you to go back to
As you
the
have to.
videotape and tell me where I did that.
As you have to.
I would like you to give
I will.
examples. I would be very happy to sit with you and have you show me
As you have to.
examples of when I did, because I feel I've been very respectful to you. However, I will point out when I feel your decision is poor. But that's just my opinion.
I'm fine with
But
that.
I don't make comments like that.
You certainly do.
I would like you to give me examples.
I'm not
Because you
gonna
said
lie.
this at another meeting, and I don't appreciate that. But we saw the evidence right here. It's hurtful.
Ma'am, you can have your opinion, I can have mine.
But I have
Okay?
evidence on the
I
video.
don't care about your evidence. I don't care about your evidence.
Give me evidence that I've done that because I disagree.
Okay, I disagree with you.
If you could give me one meeting where I did that, I would like to
disagree with
hear
you.
Ms. Elminger,
side comments. It's very hurtful.
It's not hurtful to
Ms. Elminger, this is an
It's
opportunity.
hurtful to people
Then
that.
run against me, Ms. Elminger. You have the opportunity in November if you'd like to run against me, if you would like to do that.
Oh.
Okay, that's your choice, as it is mine.
Isn't this a season of goodwill towards
It
all?
certainly is.
Let's try to stick to that. I was expecting better out of you today.
Um,
Considering.
You have the option to do what you need to do
not
I
about
do
politics.
think,
It's about
I do
hygiene.
think that we should extend every courtesy to the public, whoever they are, who come to these meetings and take the time out of their
What
day.
courtesy is not being extended?
Well, I just think the onus is upon us, Tony, to be.
What courtesy, Vivian, is not being extended? That's the question. You just
I
made a
think
comment.
we should,
You just made a comment.
I think.
What courtesy is not being
Courtesy
extended?
of speaking nicely,
Well,
you know, I mean, I think
nice is subjective.
you can look at the public in various ways. Even if they come to criticize us, I think it's valuable.
Nice
I
is
think the
subjective.
fact that people in Middletown care enough to come out, to whether it's to this meeting or any other meeting, I think they should always be treated respectfully.
Are you saying that I treat members of the public
I'm
disrespectfully?
just making a comment in general
Nice is subjective, that's
that,
right.
that people should always
Nice
be
is
treated
nice.
respectfully.
Nice is subjective.
Nice is nice.
Okay. I think Mr. Fiore's point was that there have been extensive comments made that were not on the agenda, regarding the agenda in the beginning of the meeting. And that having two portions is meant to divide those comments, yet that never happens. I think
I
that's
just
where his
think every
frustration
courtesy
is.
should be extended to the public. You
I-
know, it's, we're not going to be hard asses about it.
We have done that at every meeting that I've been at. We've given everyone an opportunity to speak, whether they were speaking in a
Not
nice
always,
tone
not
or
always in the
sarcastic.
kindest fashion.
Okay.
And whether they are sarcastic or not sarcastic, we listen to every word they've said over the last year.
And we should continue to do so.
And I think I agree with that 100%. But there's only so many times where you can be sarcastic where you're not going to get something back.
We should be above that.
Okay, moving on to our agenda. The Open Public Meetings Act allows for the exclusion of the public from a portion of public meeting when certain matters might endanger the public interest or risk deprivation of individual rights are discussed. The Board of Trustees of Middletown Township Public Library will discuss the following matters in a non-public closed meeting, resulting discussion being made public when a proper conclusion has been reached and there is no longer need for confidentiality. Any matter involving employment, appointment, termination of employment, and the condition of employment, evaluation or disciplining of any specific employee unless the individual employee requests in writing the matter be discussed at a public meeting in regards to discussion of terms and conditions of employment of staff members. Now therefore be resolved, the board will be holding a closed executive session immediately in this conference room located in Middletown Township Public Library in New Jersey. It is anticipated that the closed session will not last longer than 25 minutes. Action may be taken during the public portion of the meeting following the recess of the executive session. Is there a motion?
So,
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
God help us all.
Well, just us. She's been blessed.
She's a mess. And by the way, who moved the flag? Because I'm standing looking for something in the harbor right now. Everybody's looking at it, I'm like, oh. Did you not?
I was here yesterday.
Forget you.
Oh, Lord.
You guys. So we know about the new guy. So we know about the new guy.
He's a great guy, you're not, you realize it.
Look at your,
You're gonna like him.
if you were there with her before.
No, you don't, I'm not kidding. You like him. He's smart.
crazy.
I don't know him in that sense. I imagine he
Did
could
you
be.
volunteer for this?
Yep, just accept it.
Not long as it goes on, I think.
It was interesting, because I talked to Dr. George when he came on, his goal, for what he told me, was to kind of rotate it around, put somebody from elementary, which he started with you, and then somebody from middle, and somebody from high school, so that all the schools had kind of a representation of apparently he's sticking with the elementaries.
I'm not sure. We kind of thought
Guess what? The way it's
each, the 12 of us, there's 12 of us, so each of us could take a month if we were just a liaison.
Technically, they used to do that,
And that would work because it's
technically not
Yeah.
legal.
Actually, until Rachel Ray came on, none of them ever stayed. They came 1 or 2 meetings and never came again.
Yeah, which was all illegal, because you can't have a different person than Rachel, right?
Raymond.
No, Rachel Ray, whatever.
Rachel Ray was the cook. But yeah, technically, like, the mayor's designee can't rotate every month, because there's.
No, they didn't rotate, they just didn't come.
Unless the mayor
Right,
comes
but
in.
they would actually bring, under Karen Bilbao, she would send different people before we forced her to name one person.
Unless the mayor comes in.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
That, the only person that can come outside of you is Bill George.
Oh, okay.
But how could it be, how could you get continuity if there's a different person every month?
That's why it's not
Well,
legal.
because the, right.
It's not legal.
Could you imagine the questions that we find, right? What? Abstain.
So the superintendent can come in,
My place,
Your
or
place.
Jim's.
the mayor can come in my place.
Tony, who's going to be the next mayor?
Come and meet, okay?
Not me.
Find out, right?
Did you use that? Not me.
Time's
Question.
Will not accept, nor will I.
What time's the meeting, Jack?
See. It's January. Oh, it's fifth.
Are we back?
We're
Mr.
back.
We're back, there needs to be a roll call.
Okay, Mr. Siebert,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Here.
Mr. Shivians.
Here.
Mr. Fury.
Yep.
Mr. Coriano.
Here.
Ms. Wilson.
Here.
Ms. Green. Here.
Okay, we have 2 resolutions coming out of executive session. Resolution, we'll start with 2013-41, whereas the departure of the director and assistant director position requires those responsibilities to have ongoing coverage, whereas additional compensation is required for employees who temporarily work out of the normal job classification. Now therefore be it resolved that a stipend retroactive to September 18th through December 31st, 2013 of $2,000 be paid to Mrs. Kopp for additional financial responsibilities. And additionally, that a stipend of $400 a month will be approved going forward on an as-needed basis, on a monthly basis. So if I could have that resolution
Motion.
moved, I appreciate it.
Roll call.
Mr. Siebert.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
No.
Mr. Shivians.
Yes.
Mr. Fury.
Yes.
Mr. Coriano.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson. Same. Ms. Green.
Abstain.
Okay, that resolution then is adopted. Resolution 2013-42, whereas the Middletown Township Public Library trustees recognize that Mrs. Latona's job functions and responsibilities have changed since the departure of Ms. Kearns and Ms. O'Neill, and whereas there is a need on a temporary basis to compensate Ms. Latona for additional responsibilities which she has assumed during this time period, the motion is to pay Ms. Latona a stipend retroactive to September 18th through December 31st, 2013 of $6,000, and a stipend on a monthly basis, $1,000 a month going forward, which would, again, would be approved on a monthly basis.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Siebert.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
No.
Mr. Shivians.
Yes.
Mr. Coriano.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson. No. Ms. Green.
Abstain.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I thought I said one.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do you want to continue? All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.